The Awakening. In the depths of Earth's oceans, hidden for millennia, an ancient power stirred. Commander Elena Reyes stood on the bridge of the submersible Nautilus, her eyes fixed on the massive structure looming before them. Its sleek lines and otherworldly material defied explanation, challenging everything humanity thought they knew about their own history. Status report. Elena barked, her voice steady despite the awe threatening to overwhelm her. Lieutenant Sarah Chin's fingers danced across her console. All systems nominal, Commander. We're maintaining a safe distance, but the energy readings are off the charts. Whatever this thing is, it's definitely powering up. Elena nodded, her mind racing. For years, conspiracy theorists had whispered about an ancient human civilization with technology far beyond modern understanding. Most dismissed such talk as pure fantasy. But now, faced with irrefutable evidence, Elena couldn't help but wonder if those crackpots had been right all along. A muffled boom echoed through the hull, and the Nautilus shuddered. Alarms blared as red warning lights bathed the bridge in an ominous glow. Report, Elena shouted, gripping her command chair as the submersible rocked violently. Massive energy surge detected. Chen yelled over the cacophony. The structure. It's opening. On the main view screen, the impossible became reality. Great panels of what looked like liquid metal slid apart, revealing a cavernous interior bathed in ethereal blue light. And from within that impossible space, something emerged. Elena's breath caught in her throat. It was a ship, but like nothing humanity had ever created. Sleek and predatory, it dwarfed the Nautilus, radiating power and menace in equal measure. My God, someone whispered. Elena couldn't tell if it was one of her crew or her own voice. Before anyone could react further, a piercing whine filled the air. Elena clutched her head, pain lancing through her skull. Around her, the crew collapsed, crying out in agony. Through watering eyes, she saw Chen slumped over her console, blood trickling from her ears. Then, as suddenly as it began, the sound ceased. In the ringing silence that followed, a voice spoke directly into Elena's mind. Ancient and powerful, it carried the weight of eons. Descendants, it intoned. The time has come. The enemy approaches. We awaken to defend. With those cryptic words, the presence withdrew. Elena gasped, her head spinning as she struggled to process what had just happened. She staggered to her feet, looking around the bridge at her disoriented crew. Status. She managed to croak out. Slowly, her team began to recover. Chen wiped blood from her face, blinking in confusion. Commander, what just happened? Before Elena could respond, the main view screen flickered to life. It showed not the underwater landscape they'd been observing, but a view of Earth from high orbit. And approaching the planet at impossible speed was a vast armada of alien ships. Threat detected, an artificial voice announced, emanating from every speaker on the Nautilus. Galactic Council Invasion Force inbound. Activating Earth Defense Network. All units prepare for combat. Elena's mind reeled. Galactic Council. Earth Defense Network. What the hell was going on? As if in answer to her unspoken question, knowledge began to flood her consciousness. Memories that weren't her own, yet felt intimately familiar. The history of an ancient human civilization, their bitter war with an alien alliance known as the Galactic Council, and the desperate plan they'd enacted to preserve their legacy. She saw it all in a flash of insight. The ships hidden beneath the oceans and deep within the Earth's crust. The encoded memories passed down through countless generations, waiting for the right moment to awaken. And now, with humanity on the brink of extinction, that moment had finally arrived. Elena straightened, a new sense of purpose flooding through her. She turned to her crew, seeing the same realization dawning in their eyes. They were no longer just the crew of a research vessel. They were the inheritors of humanity's greatest legacy and Earth's last line of defense. All right, people, Elena said, her voice ringing with authority. I know this is a lot to take in, but we don't have time for questions. Our planet is under attack, and we're the only ones who can stop it. Are you with me?" A chorus of affirmatives answered her. Elena nodded, allowing herself a grim smile. "Then let's show these alien bastards what humanity is really capable of. Lieutenant Chen, interface with the defense network. I want full control of our systems." "Aye, Commander," Chen replied, her fingers already flying over her console. Elena turned her gaze to the view screen, watching as more and more ships emerged from their ancient hiding places, a fleet unlike anything the modern world had ever seen, built by their ancestors and entrusted to them for this very moment. As the Nautilus began to rise, its hull shifting and reconfiguring into something far more formidable, Elena felt a fierce pride well up within her. The aliens thought they were coming to conquer a defenseless world. Instead, they were about to face the full might of humanity's forgotten legacy. "All ships, this is Commander Reyes," she broadcast to the awakening fleet. "Prepare for surface breach and immediate engagement with enemy forces. Today, we fight not just for our lives, but for the very soul of our species. Let's remind the galaxy why they feared us." As one, Earth's ancient fleet surged towards the surface, ready to meet the alien threat head-on. The battle for humanity's survival was about to begin, and Elena swore she would see it through to the bitter end. First contact. The oceans churned as Earth's hidden fleet breached the surface, great plumes of water cascading from sleek hulls that gleamed in the sunlight. Around the world, panicked reports flooded news channels as civilians and military alike grappled with the sudden appearance of these impossible ships. Aboard the Nautilus, now transformed into a formidable battle cruiser, Elena stood at the helm. The bridge hummed with activity as her crew interfaced with systems far beyond anything they trained for, guided by the downloaded memories of their ancestors. "Commander," Chen called out, her voice tense, "I'm picking up transmissions from every major government and military installation. They're demanding answers." Elena grimaced. She'd hoped for more time to organize their forces before dealing with the inevitable chaos. "Put me on a global broadcast, Lieutenant. It's time to let the world know what we're up against." Taking a deep breath, Elena faced the camera. "People of Earth, this is Commander Elena Reyes. I know you're frightened and confused by what you're seeing. The truth is, our world is in grave danger. An alien force known as the Galactic Council is en route to invade our planet. The ships you see emerging are humanity's ancient defense fleet, hidden away millennia ago for this very purpose." She paused, letting the magnitude of her words sink in. "I implore you all to remain calm. Panic will only aid our enemies. To all military forces, stand down and await further instructions. We are humanity's best hope for survival, and we need your cooperation." As Elena ended the transmission, alarms blared across the bridge. "Multiple objects entering Earth's atmosphere," Chen shouted. "Configurations match Galactic Council scout ships. Battle stations." Elena commanded, "All ships, prepare to engage. Remember your training, both old and new." The fleet moved with uncanny precision, forming up into a defensive perimeter around the planet. Elena watched as the alien scouts descended, their hulls glowing red-hot from atmospheric entry. They were sleek, insectoid vessels, bristling with weapons. "Incoming transmission from the lead scout," Chen reported. "On screen," Elena ordered, squaring her shoulders. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a being that sent a shudder through Elena despite her inherited memories. The alien was vaguely humanoid, with mottled gray skin and multifaceted eyes that glittered with cold intelligence. "Impossible," the creature hissed, its mandibles clicking in agitation. "This world was to be defenseless. How do you possess this technology?" Elena met its gaze unflinchingly. "I am Commander Elena Reyes of Earth's Defense Fleet. You are trespassing in our space. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The alien's laughter was like grinding metal. "Bold words, human. But your pitiful species signed away its right to independence centuries ago. The Galactic Council has come to claim what is rightfully ours. We recognize no such agreement, Elena shot back. This is your final warning. Leave our system, or be destroyed. The transmission cut off abruptly. Elena turned to her weapons officer. Target the Lid Scout. Let's show them we mean business. The Nautilus's main cannon hummed to life, a lance of brilliant energy lashing out across space. It struck the alien vessel with pinpoint accuracy, vaporizing it instantly. For a moment, silence reigned across the battlefield. Then all hell broke loose. The remaining scouts opened fire, their energy weapons streaking towards Earth's fleet. But the ancient ships were ready. Shields flared to life, absorbing the assault with ease. Elena felt a fierce pride as her crew responded with devastating precision, their ancestral knowledge guiding their actions. Multiple hits confirmed, Chen reported, a note of awe in her voice. Enemy shields are no match for our weapons, Commander. Elena nodded grimly. Press the advantage. Don't let them regroup. The battle raged across Earth's orbit, a dazzling display of advanced technology unleashed after eons of slumber. The alien scouts, so confident in their superiority, found themselves outmatched at every turn. One by one, they fell to the ancient fleet's onslaught. As the last scout exploded in a brilliant fireball, a cheer went up across the bridge. But Elena's expression remained grim. Don't celebrate yet, she warned. This was just the vanguard. The real battle is yet to come. No sooner had the words left her mouth than long-range sensors lit up with new contacts. The main invasion force had arrived. My God, Chen breathed, her face pale as she looked at the tactical display. There are thousands of them. Elena studied the incoming armada, her mind racing. The scouts had been easy prey. But this was an entirely different level of threat. She could feel the weight of history pressing down on her shoulders, the hopes of both her ancestors and all of humanity riding on her next decisions. Send word to all Earth governments, she ordered. We need every resource they can spare. Pilots, engineers, anything that can help crew these ships. She turned to address her bridge crew, her voice ringing with determination. We've won the first round, but the real fight starts now. Our ancestors built this fleet to save humanity, and that's exactly what we're going to do. As her crew sprang into action, Elena gazed out at the stars, now tainted by the approaching swarm of enemy ships. The fate of Earth hung in the balance, and she swore to every god that might be listening that she would not let her world fall. The Galactic Council thought they were coming to subjugate a primitive species. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, and Elena Reyes, along with Earth's reborn fleet, was ready to remind the galaxy why humanity had once been a force to be reckoned with. As the invasion force drew nearer, Elena allowed herself a grim smile. The real war was about to begin, and she intended to write a new chapter in human history, one that would echo across the stars for eons to come. The battle for Earth. The vast expanse of space around Earth erupted into chaos as the Galactic Council's invasion force engaged humanity's ancient fleet. Energy beams crisscrossed the void, missiles streaked between ships, and explosions bloomed like deadly flowers against the backdrop of stars. Commander Elena Reyes stood at the helm of the Nautilus, her eyes darting between tactical displays as she coordinated Earth's defense. Status report, she barked, her voice steady despite the cacophony of battle around them. Lieutenant Chen's fingers flew across her console. Our fleet is holding the line, Commander, but we're outnumbered at least 10 to 1. Earth's governments are scrambling to provide support, but... A violent shudder ran through the ship, cutting Chen off mid-sentence. Direct hit to our aft shields. Someone shouted. They're down to 60%. Elena gritted her teeth. The ancient fleet's technology was superior, but the sheer numbers of the Galactic Council forces were overwhelming. They needed a game-changer, and fast. Chen, access the ancestral database. There must be something we're missing. Some weapon or strategy we haven't utilized yet. As Chen delved into the vast repository of knowledge left by their forebears, Alina turned her attention back to the battle. The space around Earth was a graveyard of shattered ships, both human and alien. But for every council vessel they destroyed, 3 more seemed to take its place. "Commander," Chen's excited voice cut through the din. "I found something. It's called the Nexus Protocol." Elena felt a jolt of recognition at the name, ancestral memories stirring in her mind. "Initiate it immediately." Chen hesitated. "Ma'am, the power requirements are enormous. It could leave us vulnerable." "We don't have a choice," Elena snapped. "Do it." As Chen input the commands, a low hum began to build throughout the ship. On the view screen, Elena watched as ethereal tendrils of energy began to emanate from the Nautilus, reaching out to connect with the other ships of the ancient fleet. "What's happening?" Elena demanded, fighting down a surge of panic as the ship's systems flickered. Chen's eyes were wide with wonder. It's linking our ships together, creating a unified network. Our processing power, our energy output, it's all being pooled." Suddenly, Elena's mind exploded with sensation. She could feel every ship in the fleet as if it were an extension of her own body. The tactical situation unfolded before her with crystal clarity, revealing weaknesses in the enemy formation she hadn't seen before. "This is incredible," she breathed. Then, her voice hardening with determination. "All ships, execute pattern Omega-3. Concentrate fire on Sector 7. The ancient fleet moved as one, their actions guided by the collective intelligence of the Nexus Protocol. Beams of concentrated energy lanced out, punching through the weak point in the Council's defenses. A dozen alien capital ships erupted into fireballs, leaving a gaping hole in their line. Press the advantage," Elena commanded. Her consciousness expanded across the entire fleet. "Squadrons 3 and 4, flank from below. The rest of you with me." The battle shifted dramatically as humanity's forces, now unified in purpose and execution, tore into the enemy with ruthless efficiency. Alien ships fell by the hundreds, unable to counter the perfectly coordinated assault. But the Council wasn't about to go down without a fight. From the heart of their fleet, a massive vessel emerged, easily 10 times the size of the Nautilus. "Dreadnought detected," Chen called out, fear evident in her voice. "Its energy readings are off the charts." Elena watched in horror as the behemoth opened fire. A beam of blinding energy sliced through space, cutting through 3 of Earth's ships as if they were made of paper. She felt their loss like physical pain, the Nexus Protocol translating the destruction into searing agony across her expanded consciousness. "Evasive maneuvers," she cried out, forcing down the pain. "All ships, focus fire on that monster." The ancient fleet swarmed the dreadnought, pouring every ounce of their combined firepower into its shields. But the massive vessel stood firm, shrugging off their attacks as it continued its inexorable advance towards Earth. Elena's mind raced, searching desperately for a solution. Then, buried deep in the ancestral memories, she found it. A last resort weapon, so powerful that its use had been forbidden except in the direst of circumstances. "All ships, fall back to minimum safe distance," she ordered, her voice grim. "Prepare to initiate the Nova Protocol." Chen gasped. "Commander, the Nova Protocol. But the cost." "I know the cost," Elena cut her off. "But if we don't use it, there won't be an Earth left to save." As the fleet retreated, the Nautilus began to glow with building energy. Elena felt the power coursing through her, the combined might of humanity's ancient legacy focused into a single point. "On my mark," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. The dreadnought loomed before them, its weapons charging for another devastating attack. Now, a beam of pure white energy erupted from the Nautilus, so bright it outshone the stars themselves. It struck the dreadnought dead center, boring through its shields as if they didn't exist. For a moment, the massive ship seemed to hang suspended, its hull glowing from within. Then, with a silent flash that lit up half the solar system, it detonated. The shockwave rolled over the human fleet, battering their shields and overloading systems. But when the chaos subsided, the result was clear. The dreadnought was gone, and with it, the heart of the Council's invasion force. Alina sagged in her chair, exhausted beyond measure. The Nexus protocol disengaged, leaving her feeling hollow and drained. But as she looked out at the remnants of the alien fleet, now in full retreat, a spark of hope ignited in her chest. "We did it," Chen said in awe. "We actually did it." Alina nodded, allowing herself a small smile. "We've won the battle, Lieutenant. But something tells me the war is far from over." As Earth's ancient fleet regrouped, Alina knew that this was just the beginning. The Galactic Council had been dealt a serious blow, but they would be back. And next time, humanity would be ready. Aftermath and revelations. In the days following the battle, Earth buzzed with a mixture of triumph and trepidation. The skies, once filled with the chaos of war, now hosted a constant patrol of the ancient fleet's ships. On the ground, governments scrambled to come to terms with the new reality. Humanity was not alone in the universe, and they were at war. Commander Alina Reyes stood before the United Nations Security Council, her uniform crisp despite the exhaustion evident in her eyes. The room was packed, with representatives from every nation hanging on her every word. "The threat has been repelled for now," Alina explained, her voice carrying across the hushed chamber. "But make no mistake, the Galactic Council will return, and in greater numbers. We must prepare." A murmur rippled through the assembled dignitaries. The U.S. representative leaned forward, his brow furrowed. "Commander Reyes, while we're grateful for your intervention, you must understand our concerns. This fleet, this technology, it changes everything. How can we be sure of your intentions?" Alina met his gaze steadily. "Our intentions are simple: to protect Earth and ensure the survival of our species. The knowledge and technology we wield were created by our ancestors for this very purpose. We are humanity's guardians, not its rulers." And yet, the Chinese representative interjected, "You possess power that dwarfs any individual nation. How do you propose to address this imbalance?" Before Alina could respond, the doors to the chamber burst open. Lieutenant Chen rushed in, her face pale. "Commander, we've detected a transmission. You need to see this immediately." Alina turned to the council, her expression grave. "If you'll excuse me, duty calls. But know this, we stand ready to work with all nations of Earth. Our enemy is out there among the stars, not here among ourselves." With that, she strode out of the chamber, Chen falling into step beside her. "What's the situation, Lieutenant?" Chen handed her a datapad. "We intercepted a transmission from the retreating Galactic Council forces. It was heavily encrypted, but we managed to break through using the ancestral code-breaking algorithms." Alina's eyes widened as she scanned the contents of the message. This changes everything. We need to get back to the Nautilus now." Hours later, Alina stood on the bridge of her ship, addressing not just her crew, but the captains of the entire ancient fleet via holographic projection. "What I'm about to share with you is highly classified," she began, her voice solemn. "The transmission we intercepted was not just a simple tactical report. It was a message to the Galactic Council's High Command, and its contents are disturbing." She took a deep breath before continuing. "According to this message, Earth, or rather, the ancient human civilization that created our fleet, was once a founding member of the Galactic Council." A shocked murmur ran through the assembled officers. Alina held up a hand for silence. "I know this contradicts much of what we thought we knew. But there's more. Our ancestors apparently discovered something, a power source of immense potential. Something that frightened the other council races so much that they turned on us, attempting to wipe us out rather than let us harness it. What kind of power source could be worth genocidal war?" One of the captains asked, his holographic form flickering slightly. Alina's expression was grim. "They called it the Cosmic Nexus. From what we can gather, it's a sort of intersection of dimensional energies. Properly harnessed, it could provide virtually limitless power. But if mishandled, it could tear the very fabric of space-time apart. She let that sink in for a moment before continuing. Our ancestors fought back, using the early stages of Nexus technology to create this fleet. But they knew they couldn't win outright. So they enacted a desperate plan. They went into hiding, seeding Earth with a more primitive human civilization as a cover, while the true inheritors of their legacy slumbered, waiting for the day when the Council would return. And that day is now, Lieutenant Chen added softly. Elena nodded. Exactly. But here's the truly crucial part. The location of the cosmic nexus was lost in the war. Both we and the Council have only fragments of the information needed to find it. Which means, it's a race, another captain finished. Whoever finds the nexus first controls the fate of the galaxy. Precisely, Elena confirmed. And we cannot allow it to fall into the Council's hands. They've already proven they're willing to commit genocide to keep others from accessing it. Imagine what they'd do if they actually controlled it. The bridge fell silent as the weight of this revelation settled over everyone. Finally, one of the older captains spoke up. So what's our next move, Commander? Elena straightened, her eyes blazing with determination. We prepare. We finish reactivating all of our ancestral technology. We train Earth's populations to crew our ships and operate our weapons. And we start deciphering every scrap of information we have about the cosmic nexus. She looked around at the faces of her fellow officers, seeing the same mix of fear and resolve that she felt. Make no mistake, the battle we just fought was only the beginning. The real war is about to start, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. As the meeting adjourned and the holograms winked out, Elena turned to gaze out the viewport at the blue-green orb of Earth below. The planet seemed so peaceful from up here, blissfully unaware of the cosmic storm brewing around it. We'll protect you, she whispered, placing a hand against the cool glass. Whatever it takes, we'll keep you safe. But even as she made this vow, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that the coming conflict would test humanity in ways they couldn't even imagine. The race for the cosmic nexus had begun, and the fate of everything hung in the balance. The hunt begins. Months passed in a flurry of activity as Earth prepared for the looming conflict. The ancient fleet, once hidden beneath the waves, now dominated the skies. Training centers sprung up across the globe, where volunteers from every nation learned to operate the advanced technology of their forebears. Commander Elena Reyes stood in the newly constructed Nexus Command, a vast underground complex buried deep within the Rocky Mountains. Holographic displays surrounded her, showing the status of Earth's defenses and the ongoing search for clues about the cosmic nexus. Report, she ordered, her voice tinged with fatigue. The weight of command had taken its toll, etching new lines on her face. Lieutenant Chen, now promoted to head of intelligence, stepped forward. We've made progress decrypting more of the ancestral database, Commander. We've identified 3 potential locations that might hold information about the Nexus. Elena's eyes narrowed. Show me. The central hologram shifted, displaying a star map. 3 points of light pulsed, one in a distant arm of the Milky Way, another in a neighboring galaxy, and a third deep in intergalactic space. The Athena Archive, Chen explained, indicating the first point, a repository of knowledge left by an ancient race that predates even our ancestors. The Void Beacon, she continued, pointing to the second, a mysterious structure emitting signals that match frequencies associated with Nexus energy. And finally, the Drift, she finished, her voice hushed as she indicated the point in intergalactic space, a region where the laws of physics don't seem to apply consistently. Elena studied the map, her mind racing. Each of these could lead us to the Nexus, or they could be dead ends. And we can bet the Council is working with similar information. She turned to the assembled officers. We don't have the resources to investigate all 3 simultaneously, and we can't leave Earth undefended. We'll need to choose our target carefully." As the command staff debated the merits of each location, alarms suddenly blared throughout the complex. Red warning lights bathed the room in an ominous glow. "Report." Elena snapped, all traces of fatigue vanishing as she snapped into action. Multiple council ships detected entering the solar system. An officer called out, "They're not on an attack vector. It looks like they're headed for the Kuiper Belt." Elena's mind raced. Why would the council send ships here if not to attack? Then it hit her. They're searching for clues, just like we are. The Kuiper Belt must hold something they think will lead them to the Nexus. She turned to her second-in-command. "Prepare the Nautilus for immediate departure and contact the UN. Tell them to deploy the planetary defense grid. We can't rule out this being a diversion for a larger attack." Within hours, the Nautilus and a small escort of ships were racing towards the outer reaches of the solar system. Elena stood on the bridge, tension radiating from every line of her body. "Visual contact in 30 seconds, Chen reported from her station. The view screen flickered to life, showing a cluster of sleek council ships. They hovered around a small, icy body, likely one of the countless dwarf planets in the Kuiper Belt. "Life signs?" Elena asked. Chen shook her head. "Negative, but I'm detecting strange energy readings from the surface. It's similar to the residual energy our own ships give off." Elena's eyes widened. Our ancestors must have left something here, a clue or a piece of technology related to the Nexus. Before she could issue orders, the council ships suddenly broke formation, accelerating towards the Nautilus and its escort. "Evasive maneuvers," Elena shouted. "Charge weapons but hold fire. We need to know what they found down there." The space around them erupted into chaos as energy beams lanced back and forth. The Nautilus shuddered under the assault, but its advanced shields held firm. "Commander," Chen called out, her voice urgent, "I'm detecting a massive energy spike from the planet's surface." Elena watched in awe as a beam of pure light shot up from the icy world, engulfing one of the council ships. For a moment, the alien vessel seemed to glow from within. Then, in a flash that lit up the Kuiper Belt, it vanished. Silence fell across the bridge of the Nautilus. What just happened?" someone whispered. Elena's mind raced, piecing together the implications. "It's a gateway," she breathed. "Our ancestors left a gateway here, linked to one of the Nexus locations." She turned to her weapons officer. "Target the remaining council ships. We cannot let them report back what they've seen here." The Nautilus's main cannon hummed to life, unleashing a barrage that quickly overwhelmed the surprised council vessels. As the last enemy ship erupted into a fireball, Elena allowed herself a small smile of satisfaction. "Prepare a landing party," she ordered. "Full containment protocols. Whatever's down there, we need to secure it before reinforcements arrive." As the Nautilus descended towards the icy surface, Elena felt a mixture of excitement and dread. They were one step closer to unraveling the mystery of the cosmic nexus, but she couldn't shake the feeling that they were also moving closer to a confrontation that would dwarf anything they'd faced so far. The gateway pulsed with ethereal light, a silent promise of wonders and dangers beyond imagination. As Elena stepped onto the frozen landscape, she knew that humanity was about to take its first real step into a larger universe. The true journey to the cosmic nexus had begun, and the fate of galaxies hung in the balance. Beyond the gateway, the icy surface of the Kuiper Belt object crunched under Elena's boots as she led her team towards the pulsing gateway. Its light cast eerie shadows across the frozen landscape, turning familiar shapes into alien silhouettes. "Approach with caution," Elena ordered, her voice tense. "We have no idea what's on the other side of that thing." As they drew closer, intricate patterns became visible on the structure surrounding the gateway. Lieutenant Chen ran her scanner over the markings, her brow furrowed in concentration. "Commander, these symbols. They're not just decorative. They're some kind of code or lock mechanism." Elena nodded, unsurprised. Their ancestors wouldn't have left such powerful technology unguarded. Can you decipher it? Chen's fingers flew over her device. I'm cross-referencing with the ancestral database. It's a warning, Commander. And a key. What does it say? Elena asked, her eyes never leaving the shimmering portal. Beyond lies the path to power unimaginable. But beware, the unworthy shall be unmade. Chen translated. It goes on to describe a specific sequence we need to input to stabilize the gateway for transport. Elena took a deep breath. Do it. We can't risk the Council finding a way to activate this before we do. As Chen worked on the lock, the rest of the team set up a perimeter. The eerie silence of the Kuiper Belt object was broken only by the hum of equipment and the occasional crack of shifting ice. Suddenly, the gateway flared brightly. The team stepped back, shielding their eyes. It's ready, Commander, Chen reported. But there's something else. The data suggests this is a one-way trip. Once we go through, there's no guarantee we can come back the same way. Elena's jaw tightened. The responsible thing would be to report back, to bring more ships, more personnel. But every moment they delayed was a moment the Council could use to get ahead of them. Understood, she said finally. Signal the Nautilus. Tell them our situation and have them contact Earth. If we're not back in 72 hours, they're to seal off this entire area. She turned to her team, seeing the mixture of fear and determination in their eyes. This is strictly volunteer. Anyone who wants to stay behind, now's your chance. Not a single person moved. Elena felt a swell of pride. All right then, let's make history. With a final glance back at the stark, icy landscape of their solar system, Elena stepped through the gateway. There was a moment of disorientation, a sensation of being stretched and compressed simultaneously. And then, they were elsewhere. The team materialized on a vast plain under an alien sky. Twin suns beat down on them. Their light filtered through rings of debris that arced across the horizon. In the distance, impossibly tall spires reached towards the heavens. My God, someone whispered. Where are we? Chen consulted her instruments, her eyes wide. If these readings are correct, we're in the Andromeda Galaxy. We've just traveled over 2 million light-years in an instant. Elena's mind reeled at the implications. If they could harness this technology, the strategic advantages would be enormous. But she forced herself to focus on the immediate situation. Life signs, breathable atmosphere. Chen nodded. Atmosphere is similar to Earth's. And I'm detecting something. Not quite life as we know it, but definitely some kind of energy signatures coming from those towers. Elena was about to respond when a low rumble shook the ground. In the distance, one of the spires began to move, its top rotating to point directly at them. Shields up, Elena shouted, but it was too late. A beam of energy lanced out from the spire, engulfing the team. Elena braced herself for pain, for disintegration, but instead, she felt a strange sensation in her mind. Information began to flood her consciousness. Images, concepts, entire histories downloaded directly into her brain. As suddenly as it began, the beam cut off. Elena staggered, her head pounding. Around her, she saw her team in similar states of disorientation. Report, she managed to croak out. Is everyone all right? Slowly, the team began to recover. As they did, Elena realized that they all shared the same dazed expression of wonder. Commander, Chen said, her voice filled with awe. I think I understand now. This place, these towers, they're not just structures. They're data storage devices of unimaginable complexity. Elena nodded, the downloaded information coalescing in her mind. This entire planet is a vast computer, built by our ancestors to store the sum total of their knowledge, including the location of the cosmic nexus. As the implications of this sank in, a new sound cut through the air, the whine of engines. Elena looked up to see a fleet of ships descending from the sky. ships bearing the insignia of the Galactic Council. "How?" one of her team members exclaimed. "How did they find this place so quickly?" Elena's expression hardened as pieces fell into place. "They followed us. They must have had cloaked ships waiting near the gateway." She turned to her team, her voice ringing with authority. "Listen to me. The information in our heads is now the most valuable thing in the galaxy. We cannot let it fall into Council hands. Chen, start working on a way to transmit what we've learned back to Earth. The rest of you, prepare for battle. We hold this position at all costs." As the Council ships drew closer, Elena felt a strange calm settle over her. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and stranded on an alien world. But they were also the inheritors of humanity's greatest legacy, armed with knowledge that could reshape the cosmos. The battle for the cosmic nexus was about to begin in earnest, and Elena swore that humanity would not be found wanting. Whatever the cost, they would see this through to the end. The final stand. The alien sky above the data world erupted into chaos as the Council ships opened fire. Energy beams sliced through the atmosphere, superheating the air and creating shockwaves that rippled across the plain. Elena and her team scrambled for cover behind the base of one of the massive data spires. "Chen, how's that transmission coming?" she shouted over the din of battle. Chen's fingers flew over her portable console, her face a mask of concentration. "Almost there, Commander. The data density is enormous. It's taking time to compress and encode." A nearby explosion showered them with debris. Elena gritted her teeth, her mind racing. They needed more time, but they were hopelessly outgunned. Then an idea struck her. "The spires," she breathed. "They're not just data storage, they're weapons." Using the knowledge newly implanted in her mind, Elena reached out with her thoughts, interfacing directly with the planet's systems. She felt a surge of power as the nearest spire hummed to life, its top swiveling to track the Council ships. A beam of pure white energy lanced out, slicing through one of the alien vessels as if it were made of paper. The ship exploded in a brilliant fireball, raining debris onto the plain below. "Yes," one of the team members cheered, but Elena's victory was short-lived. The Council fleet, realizing the threat, began to concentrate their fire on the spires. One by one, the ancient weapons fell silent, their systems overloaded or destroyed. "Chen," Elena called out, desperation creeping into her voice. "Transmission at 85%. Chen reported. "Just a few more minutes." But they didn't have a few more minutes. The Council ships, having neutralized the spire defenses, began to land. Troops poured out, a mix of various alien species, all armed to the teeth and advancing on their position. Elena turned to her team. "This is it. We hold the line here. For Earth, for humanity, for the future of the galaxy. We do not let them pass." With a rallying cry, the human defenders opened fire. Their ancestral weapons, far more advanced than standard Earth armaments, tore through the alien ranks. But for every Council soldier that fell, two more took their place. The battle devolved into savage close-quarters combat. Elena found herself grappling with a hulking, four-armed alien. She ducked under a swipe of its clawed hand, then drove her fist into its midsection with all her augmented strength. The alien crumpled, but Elena had no time to catch her breath as two more took its place. All around her, her team fought with desperate valor. They were outnumbered, but the knowledge in their minds made them formidable opponents. They seemed to instinctively know the weaknesses of each alien species, exploiting them with ruthless efficiency. But it wasn't enough. Slowly but surely, they were being pushed back. "Chen," Elena shouted, her voice hoarse. "Status, 98%. Chen called back, never taking her eyes off her console. "Almost there." Suddenly, a massive explosion rocked the battlefield. Elena looked up to see a Council dreadnought descending through the atmosphere, its main cannon still smoking from the blast that had cleared a landing zone. As the massive ship touched down, a hush fell over the combatants. The dreadnought's main hatch opened, and a single figure emerged, tall, regal, and radiating an aura of ancient power. "I am High Counselor Zarthol," the alien's voice boomed across the plain. "You have fought valiantly, humans, but it ends now. Surrender the Nexus data, and you may yet live to see your planet again." Alina stepped forward, her weapons trained on the High Counselor. "We will never surrender. Humanity's destiny is among the stars, whether you like it or not." Zarthol's eyes narrowed. "So be it. You shall. It's done." Chen's triumphant cry cut through the tension. "Transmission complete. Earth has the data." A look of fury crossed Zarthol's face. With a gesture, he signaled his troops to attack. But before they could move, the ground began to shake violently. Alina felt a surge of energy coursing through her body. The implanted knowledge was activating, connecting her more fully to the planet's systems. She understood in a flash of insight. This world wasn't just a computer, it was a key. With a thought, she triggered the planet's final protocol. The spires began to glow with blinding intensity, energy coursing between them. "What have you done?" Zarthol roared, his composure cracking. Alina met his gaze, a grim smile on her face. "Ensured that if we can't have the Nexus, neither can you." The world around them began to dissolve, reality itself seeming to warp and bend. Alina saw her team, the Council forces, even the massive dreadnought, all being pulled apart at the atomic level. In the last moments before oblivion, Alina felt a sense of peace. They had succeeded. The knowledge was safe, transmitted back to Earth. Humanity now had the key to the cosmic nexus, and with it, the power to forge their own destiny among the stars. As her consciousness began to fade, Alina's last thoughts were of Earth, of blue skies and green fields, of the family she'd left behind, and the billions of lives she'd sworn to protect. She had kept her promise. Humanity would survive. They would thrive. In a final flash of light, the data world and everyone on it ceased to exist. But across the vast gulfs of space, on a blue-green planet orbiting an unremarkable yellow star, a transmission was received. And with it, the next chapter of human history began, a story of cosmic proportions, with the power of creation itself within humanity's grasp. The ancient fleet might be gone, but its legacy would echo through eternity. Humanity's future among the stars was just beginning.